Let's jump right into this tutorial. You're going to need a sewing needle and some thread. You want to pull off a long string, not too long but not too short. You want to put the ends together until you have something that looks like this. And we're going to use the looped end to stick through our sewing needle because you need to double up. It's going to double up the thread, which is very important when you're hand stitching. Once you get your needle threaded, you want to go ahead and pull the thread through so that both sides are even at the bottom. Now you want to grab your scissors and you just want to snip open this loop so that it can look just like the other side. And it's going to look something like this. You might have a little bit more thread, which is good because my thread ended up being too short. Now we're going to make a knot. You want to wrap the thread around your finger, keep sliding the thread in between your fingers until you get a little ball like this. If you do it right, you'll end up with a ball like that. It's not really hard, but it takes a while to master. Just keep rubbing the thread in between your fingers until you get a ball. Now, when it comes to the fabric, you need a single layer of cotton fabric, and I measured in centimeters. I know that's weird because we use inches, but I use centimeters for this particular mask because it was easier. So I used 20 centimeters by 38 centimeters, okay? You want to fold it in half. You want to press that and get a nice crease in the middle. Now you want to fold down about 1/2 inch and you want to press that out. And you want to do the same to the other side. So we're going to flip our fabric over. We're going to fold down about 1/2 inch and we're going to press that out. This is just to make a little hem so that you don't have rough edges sticking up, and you'll see why later. Now it's time to make the pleats. These do not have to be perfect, people, so do not overthink this. Just pinch some fabric together about 1/2 inch and fold it over. And you want to do this twice. And you should end up with something that looks like this. You want to smooth everything out. It'll make it look like you have 3 pleats. You want to get your iron and you want to press that. And this is going to help hold the pleats in place. Now we're going to open it up and we're going to add our elastic. Now there's an elastic shortage everywhere, so I'm using stretch knit fabric and I cut it out to 6 inches. And I'm going to pin it in place so that it will stay in place while I'm sewing. It's not a particular place where you want to add them. Just make sure that when you add them, you just don't go past that middle crease that we pressed earlier when we folded it in half. Just kind of eyeball it, and then you're going to fold it over. You see how that is? And it should look like this. Now you're ready to start stitching. Now if you've never hand stitched before, you might want to watch a hand stitching tutorial because I couldn't really get a very good view to help you see how I was stitching this, but it's really not difficult. You just want to make sure that when you stitch in the beginning that you add multiple stitches in the same place in the beginning, at least 2 or 3 times in the beginning, and that will be equivalent to back stitching on a sewing machine. You want to do that at the beginning and you want to do that at the end. So we're just going to hand stitch this with a simple stitch. You literally just going to go through the back, come through the front, and just keep stitching it like that. Be careful not to pull too hard, because if you pull too hard, your fabric might bunch up and you don't want that. So you want to keep your fabric nice and straight while you're doing this hand stitching. As you can see, you don't need a fancy sewing machine to get this job done. You can simply hand stitch it, especially if you're in need of a mask and you've been waiting. And I want everyone to be safe and have their face covered, which is why I did this tutorial, to show you that all you need is a needle and thread and some patience and a little fabric, and you can have a mask. As you can see, now I'm back on the end piece, so I'm going to keep stitching in the same spot at least 2 to 3 times to make sure it's secure. Now you're going to need to tie a knot, so you're going to make a loop. You're going to stick the needle through the loop, and when it meets at the bottom like that, you want to keep your finger on it and pull it through, and that's going to give you a knot. Now you want to do it again. Make a loop, stick the needle through the loop, put your finger on top of it, and pull it through. And that should give you a knot that's pretty secure. There you go, you have it. You have your stitch. Now you just have to do the other side. Once you get both sides stitched, you're going to flip this right sides out. Be careful, because the pins are still in place. You just want to pull those out, because we sewed over the elastic while we were stitching up the sides, so the elastic is secure. And you just want to straighten everything out. And we made a pocket so you can add a filter, whatever filter you choose to use, paper towels, a furnace filter, whatever you want to use should be able to fit within this mask. There you have it, reusable mask, no sewing machine required.